we have next guest is, as Mark alluded to, from across the world, from where I am, I believe, maybe not exactly, but definitely far away, from all the way from Israel. She's been on the show before, actually, and she's an author, amongst other great talented things that she has. And we're gonna talk to her a little bit right now. We welcome Haviva. Hello, how are you doing?
Hi. Hi again.
Hi. For those that maybe didn't see the episode that you were on, talking about your book and what you're doing in the FSHD community, why don't you briefly tell us about yourself, who you are, where are you right now?
Okay. So I'm in Israel, as you said, in the Galilee. And about myself, okay, in a couple of minutes. Okay. So I live in Israel. I grew up in the United States, and I was diagnosed with FSHD when I was around 16. I have 7 children, and one is adopted, but the rest are biological. And so 2 of them so far we know have FSHD as well. I'm a rabbi and a spiritual director and an author. And I could say other
Right.
things.
So,
but yeah, I think that's a lot for now.
It is. And I mean, you have a wide variety of talents, one of which is an author, and you have a book, Dreaming Against the Current, which I know that is not your only book, right? You also have Hope Valley, I believe, is the other.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the inspiration of that book.
Great. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you about the book and about something that happened recently that June had asked me to speak about.
Absolutely.
And I should also say, so my hair is wet, and that's a plug for swimming when you have FSHD. I just came from a swim, so I'm half apologizing for the wet hair and half using it as a way to tell everyone, if you have access to a swimming pool, it's been, since I was diagnosed pretty much, and I'm now 52, and so since I was a teenager, I've been swimming, and I believe that it's definitely helped me
Absolutely.
be as active as I still am. So, okay. So Hope Valley. Dreaming Against the Current is a book that just came out right now, and that's a memoir, and that actually has a lot about what it is like to have FSHD and struggling with issues of mortality and morbidity and all of that. And there'll be something I think in one of the newsletters coming up about that book. But this book, Hope Valley, this is a novel that came out in April that I spoke about on your show before. And it's about the friendship between 2 women, a Jewish Israeli woman and a Palestinian Israeli woman. And one of the things that they connect over is that they're both ill. One of them has cancer and one of them has multiple sclerosis. And, in this book, I purposely chose not to talk about FSHD because it's a novel and I was trying to keep some distance from the characters. But a lot of the issues I wanted to explore around around living with illness, with chronic illness, and with and kind of knowing that you're not living forever are explored in this book, and the way that illness can connect people across boundaries as well. So something that happened recently that I know that I was asked to come to talk a little bit about today is that after this book came out, so somewhat in the past few months, someone contacted me from Jordan who has FSHD, and he contacted me over Facebook and asked me if there was a way I could maybe help a woman who lives in, it's called Hebron in here, and people I think pronounce it Hebron maybe in English, a Palestinian woman, and if I could maybe help her find better medical care. So that's not in Israel. Hebron is in Palestine, but it's we're right on the border, and there's lots of shared politics and all kinds of things that's a whole other, but so it came just as a time actually when I was feeling kind of sorry for myself, because I had been having symptoms that I didn't even know existed for FSHD. I don't know if you had that experience where, like when I was diagnosed as a kid, they told me, I just had it in my face at first and then in my arms. And then they said, oh, maybe it'll go to your legs, but not for a long, who knows, not for a long time. And so now it is in my legs.
Yeah.
And it's in my, my torso, all over. But I hadn't, nobody had told me about respiratory issues. I don't even know if they knew it back then. And like I've had this terrible symptom of like my mouth is very, very dry all the time. And it's probably like the worst thing that I've had of all my symptoms of FSHD. And issues with my vocal cords. And so like, these are things that I was just, and I didn't even connect them with FSHD. And then the doctors were like, oh, you have it. Okay, well, that makes sense then that, your mouth is open all the time. And that's why you have a dry mouth and you're, and your don't you know there are muscles in the vocal cords? And don't you know that, what were the other, and breathing, don't you know you're, it's all muscles, your whole body is muscles. So that's why anyway, so I was in this place of like, oh gosh, I didn't know about all that. And then I was asked to help this woman, and it helped me, come out of my own like self-pity, I don't know, funk, and to just feel like, oh, you know what, this is a way that I can connect with someone like in my book. And and actually we both have FSHD. It's not even, it's not fictional, and we don't have two different illnesses. We actually have the same one. And so I started WhatsApping with her, and I speak some Arabic, but not enough and I don't write in Arabic. So we were, she was using Google Translate. I was, and it's been really interesting and nice. And I did find a doctor that she could go to through my doctor, my neurologist here, who is an Arabic speaker. And so he knew of some doctor in Hebron, and he told her to go to him, and they wrote to each other in Arabic. And so, that's a story that really shows how the FSHD Society can connect people, which is, I think, one of the most important things that I've experienced, especially not even living in the United States, and feeling that I can turn to the society all the time when I have questions, and when I also want to meet people. We started here in Israel an FSHD group. So now we have over 50 people in the group, and we're a very small country.
Great.
So 50 is good, and it's rising all the time. People are joining all the time. I mean, we don't want so many members, we don't want so many people who have FSHD, but if they're out there, then we want them to know about us. And so that's been wonderful. And I actually asked some of the people in the group who are Arabic speakers if they could also help me with this woman, with what she was looking for. Now, something that's, I won't say it's the end of the story, but something that happened in the story, and I hope that the story will continue, is that I found this doctor, and she was supposed to go to the doctor, and then at the last minute she decided she didn't want to go see the doctor, that she felt like doctors can't really help, and she was just feeling kind of despondent and in despair about the whole thing. And so for now she's put on hold, but she knows she has a doctor she can go to. And that's another thing I wanted to highlight about the FSHD Society, because I feel like one of the main things it can do is connect people, and another one is the research. And because a lot of us feel that it's good to know you have a doctor who can tell you if there's something that might help, but we kind of know that there isn't really anything that can help. There aren't any treatments, there is no cure. And sometimes it can feel depressing to go to the doctor and hear again, like, there isn't really anything I can do for you. I wanted her to go to the doctor at least to have tests to see if because she was having breathing issues too, and to see like and there I was told there is something they can do if you're having breathing issues, where you can sleep with a BPAP machine and things like that, which so that there are some things that can be done to make life a little easier, I guess is how I would put it. But nobody's, able to fix it right now. And so that can be depressing. And I think the FSHD Society gives us hope. And just knowing that the FSHD Society is out there doing so much, just working night and day. And I know that June, like I can write to her. She's, I think, the most responsive person that I know on email. It's like
Yeah.
I write to her, and weekends, late at night, doesn't matter. Like she answers, she's just so committed. And so just knowing that there's someone rooting for you, someone supporting you, someone advocating is just so important. So that these two main, the connecting and just doing everything that's possible to be done to help us and our children.
It's key.
Just that there'll be some kind of brighter future. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it's and it's amazing. It's awesome what you're doing in Israel. You gather 50 people. And I know what you're saying, right? You almost kind of want it to be a small group because maybe then it's not affecting as many people. But for those that it is affecting, to have some resource, somebody, if it's because like you mentioned, you kind of get these stages where you feel a little down or something happens, and the disease kind of rears its ugly head in a different way that you didn't expect. I've been there too. I can totally relate. 100%, including the breathing, the dry mouth, all that. CPAP I wear at night. Didn't see that one coming. And I, had to wear one of those. I remember, it kind of flashed me back to the conversation that I had with my neurologist. And he said, the FSHD is not, this is his words, is not going to get you. It's what it does to you that will get you. It's some effect it'll have on your body. That's what'll wear you down. So you're right. It's like one of those things. It's like another issue that stems to FSHD. And so many people deal with this and they have nowhere to turn. But for you, you are one of the lights in the dark. That's how I see it. And they need to be drawn in and know you're there. And I hope this kind of helps. Your books obviously help a great deal, putting your talent to work, bringing people out of where they are to see that there's a community. So I really admire what you're doing. And of course, you're leading with your spirituality as well, which I wanted to ask you about that. How is FSHD and your spirituality kind of, does the spirituality help you that you carry being a rabbi? Does that help you through the FSHD?
I think they help each other, I guess.
Yeah.
That I think because I was diagnosed at such a young age, well, not so young, but it feels young, 16, kind of pushed me to start seeking answers at an earlier age. Why is this happening to me?
Right.
Why do these things happen at all? Why are we all here? And so they kind of, in some ways, like I say, that FSHD is one of my biggest teachers. It's definitely one of my biggest challenges in life for sure, but also one of my biggest teachers, maybe because it's one of my biggest challenges. So I think, because of the FSHD, I've looked for spiritual answers. And then those answers help me deal with having the disease. So yeah, I feel like there was something else I was going to say, and I don't remember what it was. Yeah.
It sounds like you're right. They help they help each other to cope with one, yet, it almost enforces the spirituality side for people because they have the disease. It sounds kind of crazy, but I think sometimes I believe that if I didn't know I had the FSHD, or if I didn't have it, I don't know if I'd be the same person. To be honest with you, I don't know if I would be as empathetic. I don't know if I would be as kind, to be honest with you. I think it was an awakening of the world around you that understand that people are all dealing with something. I just happen to find mine, and some struggle with multiple things. And it just made me more aware, that there are struggles happening everywhere. And then that just equals, I don't know, just for me, a more closeness to God spirituality, etc. It just kind of ties together. So I totally get your point, and I do agree with you. I think one kind of helps the other. For you, what is Giving Tuesday mean to you from your perspective? A day like this that seems to kind of stretch beyond borders and cultures and even religions and everything. This is all a common. This is the day where people kind of say, "I want to give today." This is when there's matches, there's more money to be earned into certain nonprofits. Ours, of course, is what we're talking about today. But what does this mean for you from your perspective?
Well, definitely, a chance to think about what's really important to you and what you want to support, and where you want to donate, where
Yeah.
you want to make a difference. In terms of across borders and all, my vision for a world is a world without borders. And one thing that definitely also having FSHD, I'd say, having that I've been to, we have an international group of FSHD, which I don't know if people know about, that there's groups in different countries, and we did meet in person, and then since COVID, we've been meeting on Zoom. And it's another one of these things where, like, I wish I didn't have all these, what I call like my FSHD family, around the world, but because I wish we all didn't have this thing. But on the other hand, it's very powerful to sit in a room or be on a Zoom with people from around the world who look different in all different kind of ways, but all look the same in the way that we all have these same characteristics of the FSHD. And you can look at it as, as kind of like a sad way to be connecting, but on the other hand, they're all an amazing group of people, so inspiring. And it is very special to share something with people around the world that you can just talk about, where you maybe can't talk about even with your family if you don't, if they don't have FSH, or you can't talk about necessarily with your neighbors, and because it's something that they just can't understand. But meanwhile, someone who lives in China, or whatever, that's something that we can talk about, and it's there is something very, very special and powerful about that.
Before we let you go, I guess I want to leave people with, how they can contact you, maybe find your books. If they wanted to reach out to you, how can they do that?
Sure. Well, my website is Rabbi Chaviva, which is RABBI, right? HAVIVA, RabbiChaviva.com. And that has a lot of information. That has about the work I do. It has about my books. My email is Rabbi Chaviva, RABBIHAVIVA @gmail.com. So probably, the best thing, I guess, is to go to, you can either write to me an email, or you can look at my website and find ways to order my book. They're both on Amazon. And yeah, and certainly if anyone here is listening from Israel and wants to join our group, then you can write to me as well, and I'll put you in the WhatsApp group that we have. And actually, we started this little group of Middle East because of this story. So there are people in Jordan and Palestine and Saudi Arabia, and Israel. So yeah, anyone from the Middle East who wants to join that WhatsApp group as well, you can join. Awesome. It's mostly in Arabic, but I ask them to translate for me sometimes. Yeah.
That's awesome that you're doing your part, bringing everyone together. That common, right? You're finding the common thread, and we appreciate that very much. And thanks for joining us on this Giving Tuesday event today. Really appreciate that as well.
Thank you for all you do. I love talking to you. Yeah.
Likewise. Be well. Take care. Thank you, Aviva.